Cruella is from Greg Gillespie, director of I, Tonya and Lars and the Real Girl. As the title suggests, it's about the infamous villain from 101 Dalmatians, but a prequel where she's more of an anti-hero. Emma Stone plays her, a fashion worker by the name of Estella who develops her alter ego, Cruella. Sort of like Disney's version of the Joker, except nothing like the Joker at all. Yes, it's an origin story of a character who's viewed as pure evil and nobody previously thought needed an origin story, but it takes a completely different path to this concept. This is more of a heist/revenge movie. It also goes a little deeper into her life, starting right with her childhood. And it also doesn't falsely believe that anything in it is really that deep. Yeah, I may have been a little too nice to that movie in my review. Maybe I feel that way at least partially because of, well, it's Joker. This is admittedly a bizarre concept for a woman whose goal in the original movie is to skin puppies, and her name is Cruella de Vil. Looking back, that's probably the most on-the-nose evil name this side of Dr. Evil. But fortunately, it does not go down the Maleficent route of justifying or rewriting what she did. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Maleficent, I'm just saying. But it would still be better if it wasn't connected to the character of Cruella and was just an original movie. Fortunately, it is somewhat easy to see it that way, since there are very few direct references to the plot of 101 Dalmatians. It has plenty of style and is very entertaining. It's darker and feels more rebellious than other Disney products, given its morally questionable heroes, hence its PG-13 rating. It's a face-off between Emma Stone's Cruella and Emma Roberts' villainous Baroness, two horrible women who are still endlessly fun to watch, and it's an entertaining battle of wits to upstage each other. I was eager to see what would happen next. Complaints I have. Yeah, there's the whole question of whether or not Cruella really needed to be sympathetic, but also at 2 hours and 14 minutes, it's a little too long for its own good. And it also has a little trouble making Cruella feel like Cruella. Even by the end, she doesn't feel like the kind of person who would skin dogs for a coat. Yeah, she's the kind of person who would steal and manipulate people, but in a cool anti-hero way, mostly to people who deserve it. But once again, it's better if viewed at a distance from the original character. In the long run, while it won't appeal to purists, it is an above-average revenge movie. They've actually made the infamous villain into an interesting hero, in an intriguing, stylish movie. So before writing this next review for The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It, I decided to catch up on the rest of the Conjuring universe which I had fallen behind on. I was expecting to say that these movies are pretty much all the same, but maybe not. They all use the same formula pretty much, but some of them have enough identity in their stories to differentiate themselves. The new one is one of the better examples of this. I kind of regret writing in my letterbox review that it was the same as all the others. Its mystery story does elevate it a little. It still feels like every other one in terms of atmosphere and tone, but not so much in plot, which is why I wish I liked it more. James Wan is not directing this time, but he did write it along with David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick, who also wrote The Conjuring 2 and Aquaman. Directing duties went to Michael Chavez, who also did The Curse of La Llorona, one of the many Conjuring films I've seen in the last weekend. I honestly didn't know it was even part of the Conjuring universe until I looked up what I had to see. That one isn't held in very high regard, and this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think I actually prefer La Llorona to this. I should probably talk about my thoughts about the Conjuring movies. I loved the first one. I saw it in a packed theater, which was, well, definitely a very animated audience, and they all had a great time with it. The subsequent movies weren't as good, but most of them were definitely satisfying. Even the movies I weren't too crazy about had the original's great atmosphere, even if they also had its jump scares. I know I said I loved the first one, but I also hate the fact that it used a lot of jump scares. I grew up when internet screamers were popular, so trust me when I say that jump scares are the worst thing in the history of the universe. But I don't think I outright hated any of them. I even defended the first Annabelle for some time. I haven't seen it since it came out, but after watching La Llorona, I think I might have realized it was probably better than Annabelle. Anyway, I never hated any of them, and this one is no different. It has the same scary atmosphere and a few good scares. It's about the true story of the first man to plead innocent to murder by reason of demonic possession. I'd imagine he didn't have much of a chance with that defense in real life, but in this movie the Warrens now go on a mission to find out what exactly the thing that possessed him is, because apparently that would help his case. I would have personally preferred to see a movie about how the trial went, but that probably wouldn't fit in with the other movies in this universe. But it still has a mystery element that is mostly not used in the other movies, but its fatal flaw is that it just isn't that scary. It starts out fairly strong with a decent exorcism scene, which has a few genuinely creepy moments, even if it does borrow heavily from The Exorcist, even to the point of having a shot that's very obviously aping on that movie's most famous shots, but unfortunately, nothing else is as good. While The Curse of La Llorona may have relied a little too much on jump scares, it still had a few moments that were actually creepy. There aren't exactly a whole lot after that opening scene. It also still relies a little too much on jump scares, much like its worst predecessors. In addition to this, the writing is also a lot cheesier than the other two main movies. The Conjuring franchise is being somewhat overmilked, and this is one of the weaker ones, but it's still probably good enough for casual viewers who aren't expecting the original. Most horror franchises suck after this many movies. At least this one stays true to the original spirit.